Hello everyone, I am Rajeshwari Moganty, Professor at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. Now this module is on the standard free energy and coupled reactions. This is on paper 3, that is on thermodynamics of living systems and bioenergetics. So as the title of this paper says, bioenergetics, which really means with the energy of the biological systems, and coupled reactions is a hard core or the heart of the bioenergetics part of the paper. This energetics deals with mainly in this paper, as you know that the energy of currency of the cell is ATP. So we will try to understand the coupled reactions, what is the need for coupled reaction, for a reaction, two reactions to couple, and what is the role of ATP, and so on and so forth. And before that brief introduction to this course, this topic is that thermodynamics, as you know, is a branch that of the science that deals with energetics of reacting systems. Reacting systems could be biological systems or anything, but here we call it bioenergetics because we are only talking about the biological systems of any life system, in terms of the life sciences. Now, a change of a system of a change of a state in any system which can occur independently of coupling to the surroundings and cannot conserve the work potential associated with this change. Therefore, for any chemical reaction, whether chemical reaction occurring in a biological cell or in otherwise in any organic reaction in any test tube, all the work potential energy, that is change in the free energy, that is delta G of the process, is actually lost in terms of heat. But when a reaction occurs, either heat is evolved or heat is absorbed. So if the system is able to exchange that kind of small changes in heat with the surroundings, the heat appears in the surroundings as an increase in entropy. It has to come out in some form, that it can come in terms of entropy, increase in entropy. In order to conserve the energy, a change in state of the system must be coupled to change in the surroundings, that is the environment, which actually increases the work potential of that particular part or that particular reaction. Therefore, work performed on the surroundings or a separate system undergoes a change in state, that means delta G positive. So, there is two reactions, that is, one is a delta G positive for a chemical reaction in test tube, that work potential, change in free energy or delta G is lost. Therefore, these two reactions we are trying to see that how they work together or couple together. Now, when we talk about these exchange of the reaction, when there is a heat energy heat is evolved or absorbed, we can term it in two terms. One is the endergonic reactions, the other is the exergonic reactions. When we now let us understand what are endergonic reactions, because we call it as endergonic in terms of free energy, not just in terms of heat energy. So, in any chemical thermodynamics, in any endergonic reaction, also called heat absorbed non-spontaneous reaction or unfavorable reaction, is a chemical reaction in which the standard free energy is positive and energy is absorbed. So, that is what the endergonic reaction means. Now, in simple terms, what we can say is the total amount of energy is a loss. So, it takes more energy to start the reaction than to get out of it. So, it is actually a more expensive one. So, when you have to spend more energy to get something which is of less energetic or less useful, it is actually not very useful, and you can say it is a futile step. So, the total energy is negative, net result is actually negative. Therefore, for an overall gain, that is the net result, see as exergonic reaction. So, another way to phrase this this kind of reaction is that the energy absorbed from the surroundings into the workable system. That is what it means actually. In this context, now biological energy conservation, this actually the evolutionarily the the cell has generated its own mechanisms where it can use the other reactions, couple them, and also makes it more efficient. At the same time, be very intelligent way of evolving. So in this context, what you can say is that in biological energy conservation, what it means is that work potential as represented by the delta G minus delta G for any biochemical reaction will be lost unless the reaction occurs in concert with another reaction which has delta G positive. So this delta G negative in one reaction is actually helping the other reaction which is spontaneously not possible to occur because the delta G is positive, which is non-spontaneous. So in chemical thermodynamics, the endergonic reaction, that is also called a heat absorbed non-spontaneous reaction or an unfavorable reaction, non-spontaneous, and a thermodynamically not favorable reaction, that is endergonic reaction, is coupling with a spontaneous reaction. So in this reaction is a chemical reaction in which the standard free energy is positive and energy is absorbed. Therefore, any chemical reaction is endergonic when it is non-spontaneous. Okay. Now this much is very clear. Therefore, in this type of reaction, the Gibbs free energy is increased, delta G is positive. Therefore, the entropy is included in any change of the Gibbs free energy, and that this differs from the endothermic reactions where the entropy is actually not included. So this term is different, endergonic is different, endothermic is different. Endothermic, you are only talking about delta H, whereas here we are also including the entropy term. That is why we are saying endergonic, that means it deals with the delta G and not only heat. The delta G includes the T delta S term also. So this differs from the endothermic reactions because where the entropy is not there, only delta H is involved. Now here it is endergonic reaction. So the Gibbs free energy is actually calculated using the Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. Now after understanding the endergonic reactions which are thermodynamically not feasible, you have to make them do because they have to occur, because they are happening actually. It is not that endergonic reaction is not occurring, it is occurring. Now you have to understand in terms of thermodynamics, even though delta G is positive, how the hell is reaction happening in a cell? How? That is why the coupled reaction, understanding the concept of coupled reactions has been evolved or explained, because the endergonic reaction should not occur in a cell. So now what are exergonic reactions? Exergonic reaction is a chemical reaction where the change in the free energy is negative, fine, like any other reaction. There is a net release of free energy. This indicates it's a spontaneous reaction. But for a process that takes place under constant pressure and temperature conditions, the Gibbs free energy is used, whereas the Helmholtz energy is used for processes that takes place under constant volume and temperature conditions. So that is why we call it as Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, because in this the constant pressure, the Gibbs free energy is used. In case of the volume and temperature, where constant volume, constant temperature, we use it as a Helmholtz energy. So basically this exergonic reactions is explained in terms of Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. So this actually explains the energy content in terms of the graphical explanation, that the energy is moved from one exergonic to endergonic reaction. So with these things, the objectives of this module are: how do you explain the coupled reactions, what is the basis, and therefore what is the significance in biology. If you can explain coupled reaction, why should they evolve? Next, what is the role of ATP, which we call as the currency of the cell, and finally, which is important in terms of life and death, what is AAC in understanding the disease in human conditions. So this is the molecule. When you talk about bioenergetics, you cannot miss. This is the molecule, that is the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is the currency of this cell. ATP has three different parts. One is a ribose part, and another is a base, nucleic acid base, adenine, and of course the triphosphate. Now when you look at this molecule, it has 3 phosphate groups: alpha phosphate group, beta phosphate group, and gamma phosphate group, 3 molecule. So the adenine is phosphorylated with 3 phosphate groups, and the bonds between the last, that is a gamma, and penultimate, that is the beta phosphate groups, are highly energetic, and therefore we have show it as in a wavy form. That means the wavy form shows actually the energy involved. This is the structure of ATP. I think one should remember this is the most important molecule of the cell, particularly in terms of bioenergetics. Now when we talk about ATP as energy currency of the cell, what does it mean? That means it has 3 phosphate groups: gamma, beta, alpha. Now when hydrolysis occurs, how is it giving the energy to the reaction? Is that when ATP hydrolyzes, that is on the reaction on the screen you can see that ATP on hydrolysis, there is energy that is released, and this alpha, the molecule that is produced is ADP, adenine triphosphate, gives adenine diphosphate. That means one phosphate group is lost, the last one, that is a gamma one. Now this gives the this is the first reaction. Now similarly ADP can also become ATP on the second hydrolysis. This is the first bond that breaks. ADP becomes AMP, ADP becomes AMP, so the second phosphate group is lost. Remember, the third one does not get lost. AMP does not become adenosine and then phosphate separately. Now in terms of this ATP, what are the coupled reactions when we want to talk about? So the free energy of a series of reactions, remember that they are additive. That means you can add them like any algebra equation of the free energy of the individual reactions. Now let us take an example. Suppose you have A plus B giving C plus D. This is a reaction, and this reaction 1 has a free energy change, that is delta G1. Let it be positive, let it be negative, does not matter. In the second reaction you have D plus E, that giving F plus G, two reactants and 2 products. Now here the reaction changes, delta G2 is a free energy change of that particular reaction 2. Now remember, the common is the D, which is actually common, that is in the first reaction it is produced D, that is used in the second reaction. So you can actually add them very comfortably. That addition of these reactions, when you add, what happen? A plus B plus E gives C plus F plus G, because the D that is produced in the first reaction is used by the second reaction. So actually it gets a kind of nullified. So this A plus B plus E giving C plus F plus G has a delta G. That delta G is difference between the delta G1 and delta D, addition of the delta G1 plus delta G2, right? This is a simple one, because you are adding on the left hand as well as the right side, and therefore the free energies are also additive. Free energies are additive. Now the question comes, if this is the case, A plus B plus E giving C plus F plus G, the delta G, the net delta G is negative or not? If the delta G net is negative, then these 2 reactions together can be spontaneous. That means it is possible. If the delta G positive, delta G of the net 1 plus 2 is positive, then that will not occur. So in a coupled reaction, it actually one of them, delta G2 has to be a high negative delta G, so that the coupled reaction can occur. Now example, you take this. Now I just given A plus B, but here you see the ATP plus glucose gives glucose 6-phosphate, that is plus ADP. So the glucose is one phosphate bond is released and glucose 6-phosphate is formed. That phosphate is transferred to glucose. Now this reaction has a delta G of minus 4 kilocalories. Okay. Now the second one, glucose 6-phosphate on hydrolysis gives glucose plus Pi, that is a phosphate, phosphate, that is delta G equal to minus 3.3 kilocalories. Now add these 2 reactions. Now when you add these, like in case of A plus B1, you have ATP plus 2 water molecules giving ADP plus phosphate, and delta G of this reaction is minus 7.3 kilocalories. Therefore, if you consider ATP plus water giving minus 7.3 kilocalories, and there is another equation, another reaction, for example, acetyl phosphate plus water gives acetate plus phosphate plus delta G minus 10.3. That means this reaction, either ATP1 or acetyl phosphate 1, allows us to predict that acetyl phosphate will tend to donate its phosphate to ADP, since the reaction has an overall negative delta G. So, this way you can explain that the overall negative energy, delta G negative, actually helps in a reaction to occur or to take place in those conditions. So, with this example, delta G of such reactions are catalyzed by specific enzymes. Remember that the two reactions are linked by the common intermediate D, as I told in the beginning. Therefore, whose free energy content must be sufficiently high. It is not that delta G negative is there, but delta G negative is not enough to compensate the delta G positive of the previous reaction, endergonic reaction. So, remember that the delta G or the common intermediate whose free energy content must be sufficiently high so as to drive the second reaction. Therefore, in this case ATP is most often the common intermediate, as we have shown in the equation that in the following coupled reactions, for example, leading to the synthesis of glucose phosphate, just now we did. For example, you need to phosphoenol pyruvate, then you ADP plus ADP gives pyruvate and ATP. Now, this generation, the ATP that is generated will be used by the glucose, therefore, it will form ADP plus glucose 6-phosphate. So, now let us see another example, more complex rather than a simple equation. Coupled reactions, it is seen in a process essential for the protein synthesis. For example, phosphoenol pyruvate plus ADP gives pyruvate plus ATP. Then that ATP is used by the amino acid to form aminoacyl AMP. Now, ATP plus amino acid gives aminoacyl AMP, then pyrophosphate PPI. Now, aminoacyl AMP plus transfer RNA, because each amino acid has to be on ribosome, has to be attached to the transfer RNA. So, for that aminoacyl AMP is formed, that attaches to the transfer RNA, gives aminoacyl transfer RNA plus AMP. So, you remember there are two equations, one is ATP and giving ADP and then ADP giving the AMP. In this example, there are two common intermediates, that is ATP and aminoacyl AMP, because the aminoacyl formed in this second reaction is used by the third reaction. So, basically you have actually three reactions. So, the aminoacyl AMP, these two reactions are examples to the principal ways in which free energy can be transferred from one reaction to another one in a metabolic pathways. So, under these isothermal conditions or isobaric condition, isobaric it is not possible in human because the body temperature is 37 degrees. So, it is isothermal conditions that prevails in all organisms, and ATP fulfills the role of a free energy carrying intermediate in most of the cellular processes. So, therefore, in that it links the wide variety of energy producing reactions with those reactions that require energy. So, that is why the name came, that ATP is the energy, the currency of the cell. Now, not only ATP, nevertheless there are other molecules which help biochemical reactions which are non-spontaneous to make them spontaneous. Now, other nucleotide triphosphates also act as common intermediates between some catabolic and anabolic processes, but are much less significant because ATP is a fundamental strategy and it gives a fundamental or the most commonly used one, and this is evident. Therefore, the most important feature of such coupled reactions is existence of a common intermediate, without which the driving force of delta G cannot be communicated to the reactants. Therefore, by analogy, the biological reactions or the endergonic processes, of course, delta G for the combined reactions must obey the principles derived from the second law of thermodynamics, that delta G must be less than 0 if the coupled reaction process is to proceed spontaneously. Therefore, although in the endergonic reactions the biological reactions should not occur or cannot occur, but are happening or taking place spontaneously because of the with the help of the coupled reaction, primarily using the ATP. So here I gave some examples that other nuclear triphosphates are being given, that they act as intermediates between catabolic and anabolic processes. So in another example I will give you, A plus B gives C plus D, delta G is greater than 0. In the second reaction, D plus E giving F plus G is actually negative reaction. So let us see in the first two reactions, the respective delta G is minus 31 greater than 0 is minus 31 and minus 17. So this statement can be, you can extend this to the generation of the net free energy change of a metabolic pathway, or a reaction sequence may be obtained by taking the sum of the free energy changes of the individual reactions, and more simply the delta G values of these reactions are actually additive. So in the cell, such reactions are pushed by the energy that is provided by the molecules like ATP. So there are several other molecules also, as I told, that is the phosphoenol pyruvate, carbamyl phosphate, 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate, creatine phosphate, glucose 1-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate, and etc. But they all provide energy to the cell, but the change in the free energy of hydrolysis of these compounds is shown in the table, which explains that why there are so many, all these molecules just now I mentioned, phosphate containing compounds like phosphoenol pyruvate, etc. There are so many, but still the question comes that why ATP is chosen and not any other molecule as the prime energy currency of the cell. This table will explain. Now this is a table which I would like you to give attention, that standard free energy of the hydrolysis of some common, I would say, phosphorylated compounds in physiological importance. That means in the body, human body, that these are all happening and these are all the standard free energies. The standard first one, you see the phosphoenol pyruvate minus 61.9, carbamyl phosphate minus 51.4, 1,3-bis phosphofluorate minus 49, and so on. ATP minus 30 and ADP to AMP is minus 27, and if you go like that and the bottom of the table, glucose 6-phosphate, which is minus 13.8. Now whenever you see such a table, the first thing comes in mind that with the logic I have explained to you so far, that any reaction which a higher delta G negative will help the reaction which has a delta G positive. So the common sense is that any reaction which has a high delta G, so if you look at this table, that top one is a phosphoenol pyruvate which has minus 61.9 kilocalories. That means every time a reaction can combine with this phosphoenol pyruvate, so that non-spontaneous reaction can occur because it has a minus 61.9. But the irony is that the cell has not chosen the phosphoenol pyruvate, but it has chosen the ATP which has only minus 30.5. So why is it so that it has not chosen the higher one, but it has chosen the lesser one, not even the least one, but somewhere in the center of the table. Now if you look at the reason is this, that if you take phosphoenol pyruvate minus 61.9, yes, it can help a reaction to occur spontaneously, it can couple with that reaction. But if one phosphoenol pyruvate is lost, to synthesize it, it needs 61.9 kilojoules. So that means that it is helping one reaction, but in replenishing, that means to make phosphoenol pyruvate, more phosphoenol pyruvate for further reactions to help the other reactions. In the cell you need some constant amount of phosphoenol pyruvate. It has to spend more energy because it needs to spend 60 kilocalories. Similarly, if you take the lowest molecule, the lowest in the list in the table, glucose 6-phosphate, it can help, but it has only minus 13.8 kilocalories. It is not sufficient enough to take care of all the biological reactions. Maybe in some reactions you need -30, -40, but then glucose 6-phosphate is of no use because it can only give a delta G of -13. So a reaction which is +40, this is of no use because the net result is again plus only. So that chemical reaction cannot occur. So the best option or the best deal is the ATP because it has 30, -30. So whenever reaction has to occur, -30 is sufficient enough that to couple with a reaction which has a delta G positive so that the reaction occur. Nevertheless, to reproduce it, that is ADP to ATP, it has to replenish. It's not that all the time it is utilized, it is hydrolyzed, but again it has to phosphorylate to produce back to ATP. Then 30.5 is not bad enough, it is not much to replenish. So that is the reason, that is the molecule which is in the center of the table has been intelligently chosen by the cell to make it as a currency of the cell. So these are the reasons I have listed in point wise in this slide, that the phosphorylated physiological pH is 7 and ATP molecule has 4 closely. In addition to that, in the center of the table, the ATP itself has some its own interesting features. That is what I am trying to say here, is that at physiological pH 7, the ATP molecule has 4 closely spaced negative charges, that is the phosphate groups. And these charges actually will strongly repel each other, that because they are all negative charges, and cause state in which there is a strain in the molecule. Therefore, they partially be, they would like to be hydrolyzed, because in hydrolysis you are decreasing the number of phosphate groups. So initially you have more phosphate groups, on hydrolysis you have less phosphate, so less repulsion. So by nature the molecule would like to go into ADP rather than in ATP and hydrolyze it faster. So that is one reason that ATP wants to immediately get hydrolyzed, which means that it can be used by the cell very easily. And the second point is, under physiological condition, these reactions, ATP hydrolysis, the hydrogen concentration is very low. Therefore, by the law of mass action, the equilibrium for ATP hydrolysis will lie far from the right side as compared to that of the ordinary chemical reaction. That is also number 2, because it is dependent on the environment, and the proton concentration is important because it is in the physiological conditions around 7 pH. Number 2. The number 3rd point is the reason that the products of the ATP on hydrolysis, ADP and PA, are more resonating. In addition to the first point where we said there is a repulsion, less repulsion of phosphate groups, therefore it is more preferred configuration for ATP, rather conversion to ADP, and here the resonance comes into play. It's a very important factor. So this is a resonance structure that is stabilized ADP than compared to ATP, which means that the greater electron delocalization is occurring in the products than in the reactant, that is the ATP itself. So whenever there is a resonance in ADP, that is a product, than in the reactant, the reaction would try to move towards the right. Therefore, ADP plus therefore it is possible to write more than one canonical forms of ADP plus PA than for the ATP. Therefore, this indicates that the greater reactivity of ATP related to lower degree of resonance stabilities. So you explained in terms of resonance, explained in terms of proton concentration or the dissociation, and also in terms of the hydrogen bond, the phosphate bond repulsion. The 4th point is the standard free energy, which I explained to you now very elaborately, that it is actually in the center of this state. Therefore, replenishing or the regeneration, or that when it is used, is much easier as compared to other phosphate containing compounds in the cell. So these major 4 points amply clearly explains why ATP is chosen, although there are a number of phosphate containing compounds in the cell. Now, synthesis of ATP from ADP plus PI equal to ATP plus water requires 7.3 kilocalories and occurs in hydrolysis, glycolysis in the cytosol, or by cellular respiration in mitochondria, or by photosynthesis in chloroplast. Therefore, the free energy status of the cell can be expressed in several ways. Now, perhaps the most useful that is used is something called the adenylate energy charge, or the AEC, which was originally proposed by Atkinson. Now, it is in an index of the AEC is actually a good index of the extent to which the total adenine nucleotide concentration of a cell is filled with high energy phosphate bonds, and also explains or indicates the status of the major energy yielding pathways. That means the energy pool in the cell ATP, there is a the ATP, whenever it is utilized, it has to be replenished. So, there is a standard amount of ATP present in the cell. Similarly, there is a standard amount of ADP present in the cell, and therefore, similarly the AMP also. So, these quantities are all the time, whether it is utilized or produced, has to be maintained, and that is what the AEC explains. Therefore, the adenylate energy charge is given by the equation ATP plus 0.5 into ADP divided by ATP plus ADP plus AMP. That means the total forms of adenine phosphate, whether it is in triphosphate, diphosphate or monophosphate, that is in the total which comes in the denominator. Therefore, the energy charge, now let us understand why it is important. The energy charge is 1 when all the dinucleotide exists as ATP. That means ATP plus 0.5 into ADP by total ATP, that is a total is only 1. Then it becomes ADP is when the energy charge is 1 when all the adenine nucleotide exists as ATP, and it is 0 when all beta gamma phosphorylated bonds of ADP and AMP have been hydrolyzed. That means there is no ATP, there is only ADP and there is only AMP. Therefore, there is only AMP. In that case, it becomes 0. Therefore, in a healthy cell, that is in a healthy individual, the value of energy charge ranges from 0.9 to 0.95. Remember, it is so close, 0.9 to 0.95. The inherited skeletal muscle disease, a malignant hyperthermia, which occurs in humans and pigs, is characterized by a very rapid increase in body temperature and the skeletal muscular spasm and accelerated muscle. The value of, it's interesting to note, I am going to give you some points which will tell you why AEC is important. The value of energy charge in skeletal muscle based on the levels of ATP, ADP, AMP have been measured before the onset of the death and just before the death of an animal suffering from the disease. So, they try to understand the levels of these before death and after death, just onset and just before death. It has been reported that the energy charge AEC just before the onset of the disease is 0.95. Remember, it is before onset of the disease is 0.95, which means it is still okay living, but before death it has come to 0.82. That means 0.95 to 0.82, if the AEC comes, it is critical and then death can happen. These are the values that clearly indicate that the comparatively small decrease in the energy charge from 9.95 to 0.82, that small change in AEC actually can signal the onset of the death. So, it is very important that the cell maintains that 0.9 to 0.95 of the AEC. That means the levels of ATP, ADP, AMP are so stringently managed by the cell, because even if there is a slight change, that decrease in AEC can lead to death. Therefore, it is generally believed that the energy charge values less than 0.90 are indicative of the onset of the disease in any tissue. 0.282, mind you, that 0.282 is actually at the death time, just after the death. That means 0.9 can also show you that there is some pathological difference. So, now let me summarize. That I have made you explain what are the coupled reactions and the coupled reactions are those where two or more reactions can be combined in such a way that a spontaneous reaction may be can help a non-spontaneous reaction to take place, and such reactions may be considered as coupled reactions. Now, changes in Gibbs free energy of the coupled reactions are actually additive, and that is why these two reactions, the non-spontaneous reaction is made to happen. The second important thing we learned is the endergonic reactions, which can be pushed by coupling them to another reaction which is strongly exergonic, often though shared through the shared intermediates like the ADP. A very common feature in all biological systems where some enzyme catalyzed reactions are interpretable as two coupled half reactions, one spontaneous and other non-spontaneous. Now, also I explained why the ATP has been chosen as the currency of the cell, and because it is in the center of the table, it can be replenished easily. So, students, now that we have explained what is a coupled reaction, its importance in biology in a cell, and also the importance of the AEC in understanding the levels of ATP, ADP, AMP, and in terms of life and death. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.